You can create space separators when you need to divide a space into smaller areas where no walls exist. In some cases, a room that the architect creates is too large. To perform lighting analysis or run heating and cooling loads, we may need to create smaller spaces. An easy way to achieve this is to place space separators. In this model, we need to create spaces first. The first step is to define the linked model as room bounding. I'll select the linked model and then click Edit Type in the Properties palette to open the Type Properties dialog. Under Constraints, I'll select the checkbox to enable room bounding. Then I'll click OK to close the dialog and click in blank space to deselect the linked model. Now we can place spaces. On the Analyze ribbon, in the Spaces and Zones panel, I'll click Space. On the Options bar, I'll change the upper limit to level 2 and set the offset to 0. In the Contextual ribbon, I'll click Place Spaces Automatically to have Revit automatically create spaces in the closed and bounded areas. Once the spaces have been created, Revit displays a dialog informing me of the number of spaces that have been created automatically. I'll click Close to close the dialog and finish the command. Looking at the spaces that were created, it appears the large corridor in the center of the building is one space. When I move the cursor around the space tag or near the edge of the space, the reference lines highlight, and I can click to select the space. When the space is selected, the area and reference lines highlight. As you can see, the space is very large. I would like to separate it into 4 individual spaces. I'll click in blank space to deselect the space. To place a space separator, on the Analyze ribbon, in the Spaces and Zones panel, click Space Separator. With the tool active, the ribbon changes to the Modify Place Space Separation contextual ribbon, and all the spaces in the view highlight. You can use any of the tools available in the Draw panel to create space separation lines. There are numerous options such as line, rectangle, circle, several arcs, and pick lines. The Pick Lines tool works well to create a room separation line on a grid line, if needed. I'll choose Line. Also in the Options bar, you can select Chain. With this option selected, the endpoint of one line will be the start point of the next line. I'll deselect Chain. Additionally, you can specify an offset to sketch the space separator at a certain distance away from the sketched path, or select Radius to enter a radius to automatically fillet corners. Moving into the drawing area, I'll sketch a line across the space on grid E. Simply click to enter the line start point, and then click to enter the line end point. Next, I'll sketch a vertical line down the center of the space, starting at the top near the double doors. If the space separator does not intersect with a room bounding object or another space separation line, the space will not be divided. Once the space separators have been created, click Modify to end the command. At this point, we need to create spaces for the void areas. Click Space in the Spaces and Zones panel to activate the Space tool. Set the upper limit to level 2 and the offset to 0. Next, click in each of the 3 blank areas where the space was removed to add a new space. Once again, if the room separation line does not intersect a room bounding object, it will not be able to enclose a space. Once the spaces have been created, click Modify to end the command. At this point, the space separation lines are visible in the view. These lines have a very heavy line weight, and you probably do not want them to plot. However, You may want to have them visible in a working view that will not plot. When I zoom into one of the space separation lines, you can see that it is green and dashed. Also, pay attention to the blue dashed lines. These are room separation lines that were created in the architectural model. Both can be hidden. To hide separation lines, type VG to open the Visibility Graphic Overrides dialog for the current view. Scroll down and expand the Lines category. Here, you can see a subcategory for both room separation and space separation. To turn off the visibility, simply click the checkbox next to the subcategory. Then click OK to close the dialog. Now the separation lines no longer appear and the view is much cleaner. Also, if you want to see the spaces better, you can turn on the interior and reference lines. To do so, type VG to open the Visibility Graphic Overrides dialog again. Scroll down to Spaces and expand the category. As you can see, Color Fill is already turned on, but Interior and Reference are not. Click the checkbox to turn on these subcategories. Additionally, be aware that the Room category appears in this list on the Model Categories tab as well. The same subcategories are available if you want to see the architectural rooms better. Click OK to close the dialog.